Thanks, Jenna. Bartley Kives and the Winnipeg Free Press joining us with 1 week to go until Election Day. And there's a whole lot of conversation about the mayoral race and who's going to become mayor, but that's not necessarily where the whole focus should be.
Well, Sam Kids used to love to say, you know, the mayor only has one vote on council. Reality is there are 16 votes on council, and how those ward races go really dictate the control and the direction of council for the next 4 years. Let's just say for a second that Judy Wasilishali's holds on to that massive lead she's had since December and wins.
Okay.
Well, it will only take one incumbent or one seat that was sort of held by a right of center candidate or right of center councillor to shift to a left of center candidate, plus that mayoral win, to completely change the dynamic of council. Like right now, there has been, actually for the last 10 years, an effective center-right majority on council. And Sam Cates in his first 2 terms kind of directly had an EPC full of center and right-wing candidates, councillors, and he basically controlled the direction of council.
Right.
Softened that up, broadened it out a bit in the last term. Brian Mays, who's affiliated with the NDP, was sitting on there. Well, let's just say for a second, one, I'm not going to say Tory seat because it's not officially parties, but one right of center council seat shifts. So right now, Thomas Dean's in tough, or believed to be in tough, in Elmwood East Kildonan against Jason Schreier, who is flying the NDP flag effectively, even the colors on his campaign sign. Let's say that seat shifts and Wasilishali's wins. Well, all of a sudden you have a center-left majority on council. That's just 2 seats sort of changing colors. Don't expect to see a real change in Charleswood, which traditionally elects a conservative. And in St. James, it's possible you'll see somebody who's not a conservative in those 2 seats, but it's unlikely. The real change might just be focused in on Elmwood East Kildonan. And just to show you how interested people are in the race, last night the pollster Curtis Brown tweeted that he received a robocall from Bobby Hull, the former Winnipeg Jet Great, for Thomas Steen, the former Winnipeg Jet Great.
Right.
So obviously
showing support for his friend.
Friend. I mean, they did not. These were different eras of players.
Yeah.
Bobby Hull was in the 70s, Thomas Steen in the 80s, but it's an interesting thing that just 1 or 2 seats can change hands, and I'm including the mayor in there. The mayor's seat can change sort of political orientations or ideological affiliations or whatever you want to describe it. Officially there are no political parties at City Hall, but in reality there is a governing party, and there has been. And people who pretend that it's colorblind at City Hall are just lying to themselves. In reality, this is the way it is. This is why Sam Cates said in the 2010 election year that he was afraid about the NDP taking over City Hall. He doesn't necessarily mean the NDP, he means a center-left majority rather than a center-right.
Okay, well, we're on the city website here, which is actually a great resource for people heading into the election. You can actually find all the candidates by ward, and some of them we want to talk about how congested they are.
Yes.
Some of them very, very busy. Daniel McIntyre, 6 candidates running.
6 candidates, Daniel McIntyre, Harvey Smith, running against some of the same people, 3 of the same people he ran against in 2010. But that may not change hands because there's so many people in there. If you want to look at a good head-to-head race, wide open, St. Norbert after Justin Swandell leaves. Joe Chan's in that race, but he's not one of the horses believed to be. Janice Lukes, the former head of the Winnipeg Trails Association, Sashit Mehra, the restaurateur. This is a heck of a battle, and nobody will know what will happen there. It'll be interesting to see what happens in there. In Charleswood Tuxedo, a lot of people. St. James Brooklands, a few people.
Right.
It's going to be fascinating. The other wide open race, and departed councillor, is St. Boniface, where Dan Van Dal left. Matt Allard is in there. This guy has been campaigning really hard even before anyone was actually running against him. It'll be curious to see if anyone can knock Matt Allard off. I'm not saying it's going to be a coronation, but he wrapped up a lot of the endorsements really early in that ward.
Yeah, River Heights, Fort Erie, also interesting. John Orlico, the incumbent, of course, with former city entomologist Taz Stewart. Just those 2.
And I think I might have said this before here, but don't forget, John Orlico, he ran in 2010. He ran in 2009 by-election. This is his 3rd election in 5 calendar years. This guy is kind of battle-tested. It'll be very difficult for somebody, even somebody with a name recognition like Taz Stewart, to knock off a John Orlico. That said, anyone who claims they know what's going to happen in an election race before it happens is lying.
Well, River Heights with those big trees might like a bug guy in that area. Who knows, right?
Well, we still have elms.
Thank you so much, Bartley. You'll be back next week on Election Day as we gear up for the actual big moment when Winnipeggers head off to the polls. More BT coming up. Stick with us.